Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling podcast, YouTube channel, whatever it is. Of course, something different today is that there is a camera, because for my birthday, I got a GoPro. So, I don't know, this is what I look like for those who didn't know. Of course, you won't know what camera looks like because it's just me today doing the Velogames video, so I'll just cut to the chase and we'll talk about the microphone at the next podcast, which will be up in the next few days. So, Velogames, what's going on? We're up to round 8, I think, with Dwars, Vlaanderen. As you can see, I'm doing okay. I'm doing 36 in the world, and had a pretty good Gent Wevelgem. And yes, now we're going on to Dwars, Vlaanderen. Kind of the I don't want to say it's the easiest, but it's a bit. It's kind of like 180k, so it's sub 200, and it's kind of a last dress rehearsal before Flanders on Sunday. No Wout van Aert is coming, but Mathieu van der Poel and Julian Alaphilippe are arriving. Alaphilippe, of course, crashing out of Flanders last year, showing that he is capable of riding on cobbles. So definitely not somebody to write off. When you look at your teams, of course, Alaphilippe and Van der Poel are at the top. I think the smart move would be to pick one of them. I learned that with Gent Wevelgem and with E3 that put the favourite on. Of course, E3 I didn't have a favourite, but yeah, this time on Gent Wevelgem I did, so that's good. So pick either Alaphilippe or Van der Poel. I'd be skipping out on Kwiatkowski. I don't think he has the great form at the moment. Nason is a good option, especially since Greg isn't here, so they'll be a bit more focused around Nason rather than splitting it between Greg and Nason. They just don't seem to work quite in harmony. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's just something a bit weird. So maybe Nason by himself would be better. Mads Pedersen, if I'm picking Pedersen or Nason for a 24-pointer, I'm picking Nason. Pedersen, of course, Trek didn't start Gent Wevelgem, so this will be their kind of last Flanders race. Well, they'll be their last race before Flanders, so they'll be looking to really test the legs. But I'd be expecting more from Jasper Stuyven, who's 22 points, and I think that he's a better option. Pidcock I'm not putting on, even though it's sub 200k. He wasn't feeling great the other day when I had him on, so I'm just avoiding that. Demar, again, just not as good as any of the other guys around. Yves Lampaert for De Koenig, great option, looking really strong at the moment. You know, I'd be saying that Yves is quite a safe option to be putting on. Same with Trentin. He's going to be the guy for UAE, so makes sense to go with him. And he looked really good at E3 and Gent Wevelgem. Of course, E3 he had a puncture, which was why he didn't contest the finish. Ackerman, no, don't go with him. Asgreen for a long-range attack by De Koenig to cover that option. Yeah, pretty decent shout. Ballerini, no. Barguil, no. Benoit, maybe. Bettiol, no. Christoph, no. Merlier, no. Nizzolo, possibly, after his performance at Gent Wevelgem, but was that a good performance because he made the front split in the first place? Just because going up the Kemmelberg, they weren't going massively hard, were they? Yeah. It wasn't really like a blistering attack by a Van der Poel or anything, so it's difficult to say how he is in relation to those kind of guys. Philipsen, no. Pollitt, possibly, if Bora actually start finally after missing 2 races because of a positive COVID test. Seneschal, another De Koenig option. Sepp Mark, abandoned. Gent Wevelgem, I think he will be coming back into some good form though. Maybe a couple of days off will improve his freshness. Viviani, no. Kung, it's sub 200k, so probably not. Skip down a few, too hilly for Deco. Craig Anderson is a nice one for 16 points. Lutsenko has done well in this race in the past, but yeah, it's a risk. You'd be much better off going with a safer option. Somebody who is here, Turgis. Anthony Turgis looks great at the moment. He's had a series of fantastic, at least top 15 results in the last 5 one-day races he's done. And he's come second here last time that it came about, which was in 2019. He was behind Van der Poel. So I think that Turgis is a great option for 16. He's probably the best one. Really good value. Looking great at the moment, so I'd be picking him. Similar, Dylan Van Baal, he looks great at the moment. He'll be following moves. Only problem is, how's he going to get away? How are people going to defeat De Koenig? And then you're kind of going down into some lower pointers here. A couple that I'll maybe pick out if I've just noticed them. Hugo Ofstede is a nice one. Gianni Vermeersch has been putting in some very good performances and seems to be the key kind of last man available for Van der Poel. So maybe a top 20 by him and some assist points by Van der Poel. Very good option there. Florian Vermeersch for Lotto Soudal, and then you're kind of getting down into the 6-pointers where, there's just the usual suspects of maybe like Nils Akoff, Genietz, Quinn Simmons, Grondal Janssen, who's there, who didn't take part in Gent Wevelgem, unfortunately. Olaf Koij, cheeky option for Lotto Soudal, Jumbo-Visma. Stuffing about Lotto NL Jumbo back in the day. Joris Nieuwenhuis for DSM. And then, you're just kind of getting down into a lot of people who even I don't particularly know. 4-pointers, maybe go with Norsgaard because he might get him a breakaway. And then maybe just go with, Sport Vlaanderen riders because they're going to get him a break. Right, we're 6 minutes in, I haven't even suggested a team yet. Right, so your options are, you perhaps go with something like this, which is a complete De Koenig lockout, banking on them getting a victory. Pretty safe option. I quite like this. Something which I'm definitely considering for Flanders. Alternatively, take out Alaphilippe if you're not confident with him. Go with Van der Poel. Lampard I like, but, whether you like a different 22-pointer, maybe you like Trentin or Stuyven instead, I'd be picking one of those three. I'd be missing out on Demar and Pidcock. 20-pointer, I've got Seneschal, but again, you could pick Casper Asgreen if that's your kind of flow and you wanted to go with a long-range attack. Tige Benoit, alternatively, is a good option. Nizola if you're feeling a bit risky, and Sepp Van Mark if you're, a bit of a romantic kind of person and you just think that he's gonna do something. And then 18-pointer, I've got Stibar on. Stibar isn't starting. Great. Right. You could go with, 18-pointer. You could go with Kung. Alternatively, I think I would probably be going with Anthony Turgis and maybe taking off Seneschal and putting on a 22-pointer. Stuyven or Trentin, either one of the two. I've gone with Trentin, he's looked okay. He doesn't look great at Flanders most times for some reason. And I feel like Stuyven looked at a similar level to Yves Lampard at E3 and he was looking really good. So I think that Stuyven could be a good option. So you could go with something like that. That's kind of the going against the De Koenig flow, I guess. If you didn't want to go with a 32-pointer, which I think is brave, I'd be going with, I'd be putting Trentin on for sure. Is there a good 14-pointer who you could put on? Laporte, Cockard, not really. I'd probably put those points maybe onto Turgis a bit. Possibly get him up to another De Koenig rider. Somebody like Asgreen or Seneschal. Use those 6 points on Norsgaard. Improve him to a 10-pointer. And get somebody like... Who did I say before? I said Vermeersch, didn't I? I'm going to go with Vermeersch. Something like that. That gives you 5 really good options. But alternatively, I think that the best thing is to do is probably just put on a big 32-pointer and then pick another De Koenig rider, and then, Turgis is always kind of a lower option if you so need it. Of course, if you have any specific questions about which rider you think might do well and whether you want me to give a second opinion, put it in the comments, send us a message on Twitter or Instagram. But yeah, of course, we've got video now. I'm really looking forward to using it. And I'm just going to wrap this up now. So, of course, thanks for listening. Keep your masks on, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time. Salut!